I want to say that you told me social consciousness is the key to the new millennium. And it's like, here we are now in the transition. And if it's not about social connection, what is it about?
It's funny. This came up in the last podcast too. Like, what's going on in the world? And I'm not. I'm just a human being who's observing like everybody else. I don't pretend to know all the answers. But back to what we were talking about, and then I do want to connect back to the mankind stuff, because
Yeah.
how I even discovered the leadership space roots all the way back to that early training with Mankind Project. And I'm hoping some of our like brothers in the Mankind Project will see this. I really want to connect the dots. But to stay on point, what we said a long time ago is that, what the bottom line is, that human beings, we ultimately want to have meaning and purpose in life. Like, what we really want. We want to have an experience of fulfillment. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reality, though, is that, we said in that video a long time ago that human beings, all of us, we all have a bit of a hole in our heart, and we feel alone. I feel that way. It sucks, sometimes.
Mhm.
And it's like we try to put stuff in that hole to feel not alone. But the only thing that really fulfills that feeling is the love of others, the love of yourself, maybe the love of God, right? Like, love is the only thing that can fill the hole of the human heart.
Right.
No material success can fulfill the hole in the human heart. Only love and connection and the depth of the soul can really fill that. Now, obviously, we have to work, we have to create, we have to make money, we have to pay our bills. And so obviously abundance is very important, but to think that the material success alone is going to fill the hole, that doesn't. And that's, I think, a part of, not all of it, but it's a part of why the world is out of whack, is that human beings want to achieve a certain state of consciousness to feel happy. Okay. And like, I'm about to go and have a nice afternoon and just enjoy myself. Like, I want to feel a good feeling. I don't want to always work all the time. Okay. I don't want to always be working, so I have to buy something to feel good. I just want to feel good because I have that capacity as a human. Right. But here's the thing. Back in the early part of the 20th century, there was this guy named Edward Bernays. So Bernays is a brilliant guy. I think he was the nephew of Sigmund Freud.
That's correct.
Okay, so Sigmund Freud discovered the unconscious mind and the link between the unconscious, subconscious, conscious. He discovered that there's these layers of human consciousness. Well, Edward Bernays took this knowledge and figured out that if you can associate states of consciousness with products, people will buy more of that product. And this is how we got to the Western industrial mechanized materialistic society, that we're all racing to get more with actually feeling less fulfilled. And again, I'm not putting down any desire to be wealthy. Go for it. But I believe human beings have two tracks. We have an inner track and an outer track, an inner life and an outer life. And the problem with our society is we've been sold the concept that by being really awesome in your outer life, you can fill the whole of your inner life, and it doesn't work.
No.
You have to build both lives at the same time. Like, if I can get my focus here and have some fulfillment here in the inner life, I can actually be more successful in the outer life without failing to have that feeling of positive enjoyment. I like to have fun. Everybody likes to have fun, but we always are focusing. So to finish the point, to Edward Bernays' point, here's what they did. They said, don't sell a chocolate bar, sell Bliss chocolate. Don't sell a credit card, sell Freedom credit card, right? Don't sell a can of Coke. No offense to Coke, because I like Coke, but sell a can of happiness. So what has happened in our society is that you got to look for yourself. Like, am I actually being sold the product, or am I being sold the state of consciousness that I'm supposed to get by using the product? Right. And the answer is we're being sold states of consciousness. That's what's happening.
Okay, and guess what? We don't get there from it.
We don't get the full thing, yeah.
And that leaves us wanting more. I was doing Martin Luther King's 3 evils of whatever: poverty, consumerism, and militarism. And he was saying, no matter what we have, we want more. And no matter where we are, we want to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And we have been conditioned to do that. Now, I know that I've learned that babies, when you give them a mobile, if you increase the number of items on that mobile and then try to go back to a lesser number, they won't watch it anymore. They're
Interesting.
they're they want more naturally, to be stimulated more. But right there, we're beginning to learn stimulation from the outside is little babies. So and then I want more.
Like here we are. I actually thought about this a while ago that we're kind of at the end of the industrial age, of the age of innovation, the next new shiny object. Like so many people, we all have so many shiny objects. I think we're bored of the shiny objects. Like even if there's another new shiny object, we're kind of like, man, it doesn't really hit the spot. Right.
Mhm.
And that's why that deeper, people are getting into yoga or meditation, and they're tapping into their soul more. They're tapping into the inner self for fulfillment. But I feel like, and I'm just going to put it out there, I've learned a lot from Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda. He wrote a book called Autobiography of a Yogi, and that's how I even got to California, as I got into that. And that stuff has just been like blow my mind, the amount of depth that he understood about the universe. And his one of his big points was to blend East and West, take the best qualities of the East spirituality with the best qualities of the West materiality, and bring it together like yin and yang,
Right,
right? The inner
right.
life and the outer life, bring it together. And that's what I believe in. Like, I think that's like the key, because you got to have both. I used to say there's two currencies that human beings trade. There's two currencies, two energies. All right.
Okay.
And you have to have both. If you have one and not the other, you're screwed. And I always ask them, what are the two currencies? They'll say a bunch of stuff. And what it boils down to is, I think the two currencies humans trade is love and money. Love and money. The inner currency, the soft currency, is love. That's the private personal currency. And then the outer currency, the professional currency, that's money. Okay, but we've been brought up in a world through the Edward Bernays paradigm that if you make enough money, you can fulfill your need for love.
Right.
That's what's in the background of our society, and that's why it's not working, in my opinion. Part of it. We're not happy because you actually have to have both. I mean, you think about it this way: the way people grew up in the past, and I know there's this phenomena that the past is always looking rosier to us than the present, as if somehow, 20 years ago was the golden age. But if you go back to what we were doing 20 years ago, we were complaining about the same shit we're complaining about
Yeah.
now. Right?
Now. Yeah.
you know, so all I'm trying to say is, like, I just, for myself, since the day I met you, I just have always been on a track of trying to achieve some level of wisdom, some level of understanding, because I basically just want to be happy as a human being. I want to be happy. I want to be fulfilled. I want to be accomplished. I love to teach. I want to have something that I can say that's valuable to people. And that's why I'm like in all this. Like, how does it work? And that's what I'm figuring out so far.
Well, that made me feel really good that we've been friends for all this time, because you've really brought a lot into my life. And
I think, where do we go with all this? We're talking about the inner life and how to
oh
marry
yeah,
it with the
yeah,
outer. I
yeah.
think that's the thing, and I think honestly, if I'm honest with myself, I think the link between the two is discipline. And I'm not saying I'm the most disciplined person in the world. My friends will tell me, okay, you're the one who's going to teach discipline. I don't think so. But I
Mhm.
know, but I also know that that's true. And so there's the areas of my life that like really work is because I actually do have discipline there, or I push myself there, and then, okay, but how could I have, discipline in all those areas? And I'm still exploring that. But, I think that's the key, is like, how do we focus ourselves, and then we bump into things, right? So I think that's the inner work, right? Like the inner work is to start to realize, like, how are we creating the life that we have? How are we creating the relationships we have? You know, and what is the internal work that we need to do to unlock things so that those relationships are better and stronger, and then it opens up possibilities for our own life. Because actually, from that time, a lot of things improved in my life from that time. And I noticed that each time I do inner work, I have a pop of a breakthrough, or some new thing starts to become possible. I enjoy doing that inner work because I see the value of it and I see the benefit of it. Dude, how many times have I been to your place doing, mankind work and saging and all the stuff we do? And how many times have we sat in a circle together with other guys and like talked about stuff?
You always do your work.
If anything, maybe that's ultimately why I became a writer, is because I'm a teacher, but why I wanted to write, I think, was I have done a lot of internal work. I have, and I've had some great progress through that. And I want other people to see the value of it, because, I even say that in there, like in the beginning of chapter 3, I talk about like self-awareness is the keystone of the journey. You got to get self-aware, but you have to have a set of tools to go down in there to figure things out. And to work on yourself. And I think a lot of people, like, we want to get the outcome without necessarily doing that inner work, because it does not always, it's scary, to get inside and work it out. But then that's the thing about the Mankind Project, dude. The Mankind Project, why it's so brilliant, is because you have the support of other men to guide you through the work. You're not alone. And that's what got me started on this real deep pursuit, is other men who had more skill than I in that internal space to guide me through different processes, which was incredible. And then to discover, how do I, how many times did we go in that hypnotic place, and then you have like, the little child version of yourself and the adult version of yourself. And then maybe there's some kind of magical object that you give yourself the power to grow, and I almost miss it now because I haven't done a Mankind Circle in a while. But that shadow work is really necessary. And so back to society, I some people say what we're going through as a society is like collective shadow work. Like society is purging a lot of old patterns, a lot of old thinking, a lot of old feelings. And the thing is, the more each of us does our own work, the more the society as a whole can start to shed some of the old patterns and maybe go into a new paradigm. Which, by the way, I will share something that's relevant back to what I wrote about back to leadership, getting away a little bit from the shadow work, back to the leadership, if you want to talk real quick. All right, so check this out. This is a cool one, because this is where I really want to go with what I'm talking about. Is there's a paradigm shift that I think needs to happen in business and in corporate America. All right. And it's a specific one. There's lots of them, sure, but it's a specific one that I think would make a difference for a lot of people. And it's the paradigm shift from boss employee to leader teammate.
Right.
Okay. The relationship of boss to employee is a relationship of superior to subordinate. Like, the boss is the one that's in control.
It's a power differential that doesn't work. It doesn't serve the employee. It may serve the boss, but it doesn't serve the employee.
Yes. And so if we as a culture can shift from boss employee to leader teammate is a relationship of equals, right? And so boss is about making someone do work for you. Leader is about causing someone to accomplish something that elevates the team as a whole, right? That's how I see it. Leadership can lead to like a higher state of being for the leader and the teammate, and a higher state of production and well-being for the company, and through greater well-being and greater collaboration and greater sense of connection to greater output, which would lead to greater profits, which in my mind goes back to the connection of the inner world and the outer world, the east and the west, the yin and the yang coming together. That to me is a fulfilling life. Like, that's what I think we're all in pursuit of. We want to have a fulfilling life, and that's what leadership's ultimately about for me. What it's ultimately about is, where are we going? Not just how do we get more production today. Where are we going as a person, as a team, as an organization, as a society? We want to be going toward well-being and fulfillment.
The happy company is fulfillment is the bottom line at the happy company. I'm thinking about this thing this guy told me yesterday or the day before. And he's talking about how he's trying to get to that place where he's connecting with his authentic self
Yeah.
at the majority of the time,
Yeah.
and that he can maintain that even in the turmoil of the world. And
Yeah.
it's to come to one with yourself. This thing that you're talking about, the leadership, is about becoming whole. When I'm whole, I don't need to dominate you.
That's right.
I want you to succeed. I want you to do well. I want to see you shine, because that's what makes me happy. That's what makes me fulfilled, is to see others shine. And so that's exactly what you're talking about. The leadership is to bring yourself to that place where it's no longer about what am I going to accomplish. It's about, how do I get the fullness of these relationships that I'm having with these people that are creating whatever it is that we're creating.
That's what I think is going to bring us to a next level. We gotta figure out how to get there. But I'll tell you what, I want to actually read a short passage, because this is about contribution consciousness. Right? Contribution is shifting your focus from it's about me, the ego, to it's about others, the team. When your attention is on yourself, your personal energy and magnetism isn't as strong as it is when your attention is on others. The ego wants you to believe life revolves around its needs, but you can't serve the ego by meeting its needs. You actually fulfill the ego's deepest need of achieving meaning, success, and satisfaction by serving the needs of others. Realizing that your satisfaction is achieved by serving others, you expand your little self, ego, into your greater self, others. And that brings you into contact with the greatest force of the universe, love. Love is the power to give, and giving is the key to success. If you can give, you will always succeed, because you're pouring energy into the world, and that energy will return to you multiplied. That's the essence of this whole thing. It's about contribution consciousness, shifting from ego to others, shifting from me to you. I mean, that's what happened with my dad. When it was about me, our relationship wasn't working. When I made it about him, boom, everything worked out.
Right. And the epiphany I had not too long ago was I was trying to make all this shit happen. I want to save the world. I want to make a difference. I want to, yeah. And I was pushing, trying to get, I want to get this thing where we do deliberative dialogue so people can learn how to talk to each other in a civil manner instead of what we're doing now. Well, anyway, the epiphany was, that's not my job.
Right.
I'm the cheerleader. I'm the guy that's running along saying, way to go, motherfuckers, way to go. It's like, let's do it. Let's do it. I love it. That's where I'm strong, is in supporting others and wishing them well, and, encouraging. And, and that's what feels good. And that's what you just said.
Yeah.
It's in your book. You wrote a book.
Yeah, and I did, and I connected it to all these different techniques for leadership, or principles. But dude, at the end of the day, it took me my whole life to get to that place where I was able to start shifting from ego to others, and it has been the most fulfilling thing. It has helped me to be better at everything, and to be able to visualize positive outcomes and cause them, because I'm making it about others, so I have the energy of others, and there's something magic that comes. All I can say is it really is love. And I personally want to live a life of, I do want to have material success. I appreciate being successful in the material space, but I want to have spiritual success too. I want to have love in my life. I want to have a experience of fulfillment. And it just seems that being a contribution is the key to having both of them. You get both. And that's what I've learned. It took me my whole life to learn that, but that's where I'm at.
You said that social connection is the key to the new millennium. And what you're saying now is being socially connected to other people by being aware of them and not so much myself, by moving out of myself and into other people and connecting is the
Yeah.
key to the new millennium. So, I mean, you say it's taking a long time to learn it, but you sure knew it for a long time.
Yeah, maybe, man. I think that wisdom of life is when inside all of us. Like, there was this group called Enigma. Some people might have heard of Enigma. It's instrumental. It's been around for a long time. This brilliant artist, and the early albums have this voice at the end of the album. It says something like, "There's no teacher who can teach us anything new. He can only help us remember what we always knew." And that always hits me. And I think what the voice is saying is, in our soul, our true self is infinite knowledge, infinite being. And inside of our true self is all the answers to life's questions. But we have to make the effort to dig down in there to move beyond the ego into the true self that can reveal. And I don't know what the hell's going to happen in this world. It's going crazy. It's getting worse, like in certain ways. And it's like,
Yeah.
how are we going to put it on the right footing? The only thing I
Well,
can think is, if we come back to the core of our true self, our true nature, if we connect with love, some people believe in God, some people don't, but I think we all believe in love. We all believe that there's an inner self, and the inner self is the one that's going to give us the direction for the future. That's where I'm at in my life. I'm
I'm
trying to
flashing
see
on
about.
right now is that people come together in crisis.
Yeah, that's true.
And right now, we're really not, we don't know that we're in a crisis because we still think we have time to fight about it.
Yeah.
And when we realize that we're in a crisis and we can't fight about this anymore, that we've got to come together and resolve some of these issues. And anyway, so it's like an alcoholic or anybody doesn't change until the pain becomes greater than the payoff.
Right. Right.
And we in this country haven't felt the pain so much as what well, I haven't because I've lived a blessed life, but um, I'm feeling really kind of like I'm having a hard time with what we've done in the world as a nation and a people. And I'm really wanting to work on making that different. And and
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell another epiphany about my indoctrination. I was thinking about I would really like to cut back on the military. And then I immediately had this thought, well, what about all the jobs? What about the
That's
economy?
true.
I mean,
Good point.
what's going to happen to all the people that depend on those? And I realized that it's like that's my indoctrination not to see what that's doing to people. I'm only supposed to see the good that's coming to the people that are manufacturing these weapons of destruction, but not see the damage that's done by them.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to get on that, but
No, it's all right. I mean, you're talking about real stuff. I think about world events all the time, and it's just the world stage is it's so big. The only thing I can think about, I talk about this with friends and colleagues, what can we do, and that's why I just keep coming back up. If I can make my own state of consciousness better, if I can, my own space, my state of consciousness, my space, if I can elevate that and put a positive energy out there, that's what I can do, and if I can be a contribution, that's what I can do. But if everybody is doing that, if we're all elevating our state of consciousness, we're all putting a contribution out there, in the aggregate, it changes the world. Let me leave you with this. I call it the billboard theory of society, or the pixel theory of society. All right. I thought about this a long time. Like, if you ever see a billboard on the side of a highway, they're 60 feet wide, like 20 feet high. They're huge, and you see a big picture. It could be Santa Claus. It could be, I don't know, some mattress company, whatever. But if you go really close to that billboard and you look right up at it, you won't see a picture. You'll see these little pixels, little
right,
little pixels, because that's how you make a picture. Pixels.
right.
Okay. So if we were to see a big scene of Christmas, right? You've got a green Christmas tree and a red Santa Claus and the sled and all that. Well, you would see red pixels and green pixels and the blue sky, the blue pixels. Well, if we were to start to change the pixels to purple, all of a sudden the sled, little by little, would become purple. And if we were to change the green to orange, all of a sudden the trees would become, little by little, go green to orange. But what's happening is the picture's not changing. It's the pixels that are changing, because there is no picture. There's only pixels. But when you look at enough pixels from far away, you see a picture. Okay? This is society. Every person is a pixel, is a picture of society. You can't change society. It doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is people. And so people have to change, improve, elevate, and become the next version of themselves. That's what changes the billboard of society to a brand new image of awesomeness. That's the way.
Oh, beautifully said. And we are the pixels. And it's like, it goes back to what I've been saying for a long time. You change the world by changing yourself.
Yes, Gandhi said that. Be the change you want to see in the world. He's talking about the pixel theory.
Right.
That's what he's talking about.
And so when I'm focused on trying to change others, the picture, I'm not changing my tone. I'm not bringing myself to an elevate. And then I will just finish up with realizing that what I can do is I can own that indoctrination and come to a place where I see both sides of that is needing love and support, and that we can I can change my pixel.
Exactly. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of all these different self-development organizations and groups, is like every individual is the whole universe as one. And so each person has the power to alter a universe themselves. And in the aggregate, we change the society and the reality we live in. That's just how it works. I don't see it any other way.